as migrants throw rubbish on the streets in Birmingham and the council refuses to take action. Ant Middleton from the SAS and Who Dares Wins TV show has stepped in and demanded action because now they're telling the army to clean the streets. How dare this country insult the men and women of our military by saying that the filthy people that have thrown rubbish all over the streets and the lazy council that can't be bothered cleaning it up should be dealt with by a denigration and an insult to our British Armed Forces. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this channel. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all of my videos as soon as they are released. Look, before we start, Ant Middleton is not perfect, and to have failed to pay £1 million in tax and be disqualified as a company director, I would suggest you means some things have gone pretty badly wrong. However, he did serve his country and he is a major television star. And when he makes the intervention that he's made today, I have to say I completely agree with him. So let's remind ourselves what has happened in Birmingham. First of all, the council has gone bankrupt, right? Straight out. That is because there has been a £1 billion equal pay claim. What's happened is there are people like dinner ladies who are saying they should be paid the same as dustbin men. They're all saying that it's sexist and whatever. So the taxpayers of Birmingham are paying £1 billion towards that equal pay claim. Now remember, many council workers will have the 85 rule. That is, if the age that you are plus your years of service equal 85 or more, you can retire on 2/3 of your final salary. And you think, hang on a second, that's a bit weird. But if you think about it, it makes an awful lot of sense. So if you are, say, 60 and you started when you were 65 and you start, you're 25, when you're 60, you can retire on 2/3 of your final salary. We had an example, by the way, in Windsor and Maidenhead where somebody received a £10,000 pay rise the final month that he worked for the council. That meant that the council taxpayers were required to pay him £6,666 every year for life. The bloke was 55 and I think he was about 60, but okay. And he was going to die at what age? 80, 90? Could be an enormous sum of money. So what's happened in Birmingham? Well, the reality is it's been the dumping ground for the world's trash, hasn't it? And I don't mean that literally, I mean it figuratively. We have allowed migrants from across the world to come there and to change the city unbelievably. We've got people who work with me at Talk TV, not just Asher Gould, but also some of the production staff who say that when they go back to Birmingham, they're absolutely stunned by the place. Now, there was always problems, say in the winter of discontent, with rubbish piling up on the streets. But what's happened in Birmingham is people have effectively returned to the medieval period, just gardé lou and thrown stuff out of the window. It's been an extraordinary thing. And I have to say it's linked to immigration. How dare you accuse people? Well, actually, the reason I accuse people of relating it to immigration is because the areas that are principally migrant areas, the problems have been more severe. Now, okay, you can say to me, well, they might potentially have smaller houses, but unbelievably, those things are getting worse in those areas. And I think that it is related to immigration. So next, the dustbin men have refused to act. And they want more and more money. Now, because of the equal pay problem at Birmingham, the more money they get, the more everybody else gets, which slides them into a bigger hole of what, £2 billion. The reality is, all of the local parks, all the public assets will be sold and they will be given to council workers. Council workers who are not doing the job. Now, enter the government's plan. The government's plan is to make the army clean up the rubbish. I think that is an absolute disgrace. Do you know what I'd do? I'd get the Birmingham Council workers to clean up the waste. If you think about it, when there's a strike on the railway lines, the managers have to open up the stations. They don't drive the trains because it requires some more training to drive the trains, but they will open up the stations. Why has the chief executive not got a shovel in Birmingham City Council? Well, there's a reason why he's not got a shovel, because he's lazy. The current rule that we have with local government and indeed national government is, I did my best, therefore you should pay me. I find that to be completely outrageous. Do you know, during the 2012 Olympics, I remember looking at, and I'm not being critical of anyone here, but it does tell you something. The army and the police both had to come on board to protect the venues and all that sort of thing. Great, got all that. But anyway, The police were all being put up in university halls of residence and being bussed in everywhere, every day, whereas the army were told to pitch tents at Battersea Power Station. They were sleeping in a derelict and, in fact, quite dirty facility that had been shut for years, contaminated and all this sort of thing. And you think, well, hang on a second, the army didn't get any extra pay, the police got an extra time and a half, and they were being paid for 24 hours a day rather than the usual shifts. Where is the fairness here? And where is the decency? You know, ultimately, what's going to happen here if Ant Middleton doesn't get his way is that we're going to be in a position whereby the Birmingham City Council workers who have refused to clean up the rubbish will have their job done for them, and they'll receive a financial reward when the deal is done with them. Equally, the filthy people who have thrown all the rubbish out in those migrant communities, they will be rewarded by having all their rubbish taken away. And of course, the other point to make is when you're talking about council tax, you know, it's a sliding scale, isn't it? So the people that have caused the worst problems are living in the smaller houses because they're the migrant communities, so they will get the best service and it will be paid for by the people in the bigger houses who've caused less problems. I have to say one thing, the idea that Birmingham City Council is going to stop people from setting fire to their own rubbish is utterly ludicrous. But once again, we are mitigating a problem, aren't we? Remember, this is my favourite story, by the way, when the UK Border Force went on strike and the army were brought in, and the service improved, right? So what you were talking about these people earning 40, 50, 60 grand a year to be Border Force agents, and actually a virtually untrained private soldier on 18 grand a year could do a better job than they could. What this says is not that the army are brilliant, though I think they are. It's that our other public servants are absolutely terrible, and we accept low standards. We accept poor performance. What about, the baby P situation? When Shoesmith said, well, I'm very sorry, I did my best. Oh, well, in that case, Shoesmith, what about all the people when you're talking about the grooming gangs? Many of them have been fired. Many of them have been fired. Sorry, the dog just barked. Many of them have been, I've really jumped then. Many of them have been fired. It was only a small dog. Many of them have been fired and got a better job afterwards. What sort of a country do we live in? We've got to start changing our ethos here. And I say the following. What we should do is pass a law, right? Every able-bodied man and woman in the communities where the rubbish is piled up are conscripted to clean it up themselves. Screw the council workers, sack all of the bin men. I genuinely don't care. I think it's time that the filthy effers that wrecked their communities should be obliged to clean it up themselves. I'll leave you with one final thing. I used to live on Clarence Road in Windsor. For those of you that know, it's the bit that leads from the Liquid nightclub out to all the bits where, young people live. You know what? On a Saturday and Sunday morning, there used to be the odd kebab wrapper or, old Coke can or Monster Energy can or whatever. I used to pick them up and put them in the bin. Do you know the reason I used to pick them up and put them in the bin? Because it was easier than phoning the council and getting somebody to come down. Why don't people take pride in their communities anymore? And I will tell you the reason they don't take pride in their communities is because there is no community. We've systematically and deliberately destroyed it with uncontrolled immigration, with slavery wages, and with an inability to protect and defend our own people. That is the problem in this country, and that is why I say pass a law and force them to clean it up. Because I'll tell you something, I guarantee you, whether you're in Birmingham or not, the bill comes to you. The other person is always you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do help us donate to patriotic causes by going to the Patriot Fund. And as I say in previous videos, what we're going to do is we're going to have a monthly update on all the projects we're funding, and we're going to get out and about and talk to people. And if you donate, we'll put you on the mailing list. Until next time, goodbye.